Welcome to the channel and welcome back to part 3 of this flight, which is World Express flight 522. This leg takes us from Bahrain to Hong Kong. So we don't have much time between the arriving aircraft and our departure, so I want to be pushing back by 4:30 AM Zulu time, and that really means not much time for checking the facilities. And even if they were full to the brim, we would be dispatching with a full load of poop.
Disgusting!
So in relation to our departure, which is going to be from runway 30 right, there's the chart, so it's a radar departures. So I got busy, played around with some place bearing distance waypoints. So the first one is fairly straightforward, as you can see. It's just the 300 degrees, puts us here with that distance, and then I wasn't actually sure if I could do another PBD waypoint on that PBD waypoint, but as you can see, yes you can. So it takes me up here. What I now need to do is get rid of the BHR waypoint that's down there, so that's fairly simple. We're going to keep Golco for the moment and just drop that over the top of it, so it now looks like that. Won't connect it, of course, because we've got that discontinuity. And then it's probably going to be sensible to go to Toster. So Toster, and we'll now use that to close that discontinuity. So select those boxes, execute. And what's the distance to go then? So 4.96, 16. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just thinking there in terms of the angle that we need for turning. The next one, 8 miles away, so I'm good with that. Nice little reminder on PBD waypoints. And in case you're wondering how we got the nav display on the lower icars, just press nav. Now I'm learning lots about this aircraft all the time, so this time in terms of deciding our weight, well, I've told SimBrief that we are going to be taking an overall payload of 100, giving me a zero fuel weight of 240. So I'm going to do this slightly different than in the first part of this leg. So I'm going to go to the weight and balance and leave that as is. Just come over here to the freight load, and if you've seen part 2, you'll see that those values look familiar. But just to make it a different experience, we'll take 10 tons and we'll reduce the freight deck load by 10 tons and go to cargo load and increase that by 10 tons. Very slight adjustment just to make that as close to 240 tons as I can make it. Fuel for this is going to be 71 tons. Let's take the first value that the scroll wheel stopped at, so 71.5 tons. I've actually got fuel in the centre for a change, if you recall. I was saying I think I've only done one other flight where I've needed fuel in centre. We're probably going to burn that actually before we get to top of climb. So it's 3:54 Zulu. I want to be pushing back at the very latest 4:30 Zulu.
We need that door closed.
Sure.
Didn't quite get the memo, did he? Right, you lot. Go. Thank you. Now, the topic of wins and entering win data comes up quite a lot of times on the forums, certainly for a good reason. I've not actually yet told the FMC what winds we're going to encounter en route. Now, SimBrief, when it did the flight plan, and then it incorporated the wind speed as well. So we have got quite a significant tailwind. It's going to shave about 300 nautical miles off the total flight distance. So once we're in the air, we'll put those in, and then you should see this fuel forecast increase. So I said on the ground that I wasn't going to enter any wind data, and therefore you might be asking, well, why have you took off? Well, we generated our flight plan using SimBrief. That knew about everything. The FMC doesn't, so we've just really got two different stories going on. So what we need to do now is bring the FMC up to speed here by telling it the winds. Now, if we go, let's just pick a waypoint that's quite a few miles ahead of us, just because while we're talking and explaining, I don't want to overfly it. So we'll go to route data, pick PAVAG, just line select the right one there, and then we're at flight level 310, so we're going to put that into the altitude. And who wants to tell me what the winds are without even looking at the flight plan? Up there. So yeah, insufficient fuel. That's because it's thinking, like we say, this is why we're giving it the information. So shall we go with 300? And let's just round it down a bit. 90. I usually round down tailwinds, round up headwinds. That's just my preference. And the other rule of thumb, 30-30. So if it varies by more than 30 degrees or 30 knots, consider if you want to reflect that within the FMC. So enter. How do we feel now about this? We've got a discontinuity. One moment. That might be something there that you need to consider when you're entering your winds, because I noticed a discontinuity. I did review the flight plan, so unless I'd missed it, unsure. Let's find the next waypoint that we need to change, and this one is quite a way down at Telham. Click route data. Right, line select the one you want. And we're going to be at 330 at this point. So you can enter additional flight levels. Don't delete that one. So 255.80. Enter. See now, not much of a change. So just to add, the highest we expect to fly is flight level 330 today. And that data is good enough. I mean, it does go up to about 100. So if you wanted to gain a bit more experience, by all means go in, type in some more data. This is really just to show you the impact of this tailwind and why I was happy to dispatch without entering that data. So the original, was it 1222? It's about an hour quicker now, isn't it? I added on an additional 5 tons of fuel. So let's see how we get on as well with our actual fuel on arrival. So I'm just noting down at the moment 15.8. Welcome back. So we're going to be starting our descent very shortly into Hong Kong. It started to get dusk around half an hour ago, and then the daylight just faded away quite rapidly, as you expect when you're flying easterly. Just showing you now a map of flight radar, and the reason for that, just suggesting another tool that you can use here. So I planned this flight yesterday, wasn't able to go fly it until today, so I just used X-Plane's historic weather feature, and this is just helping me confirm that runway 7 was in use, and that will be appropriate for our arrival today. Of course you wouldn't get a wing view, but that's Hong Kong down there, so our arrival, I've put it on the screen for you. It comes south and then we route back up north, making a right turn to arrive on runway 7 centre. Okay, approach checklist then please. So altimeters are 1024 set.
Complete.
And check, let's arm the localizer. Just going to turn around a bit more here. That's fine. So heading 423, 40, whatever that word was, runway heading 70, so that's going to help it there quite nicely. A good intercept heading. I want to start to slow down at 230 knots, clean and right on the yellow band there. So flap 1, and we'll see the band falling away. A localizer. I'm going to bug down. That's 220, wow. Flap 1 green. It's just on the speed brake. Flap 5, Just come down a bit more. Want to be below 200 knots. Let's go with 190 alt. That's 3,000 feet. 10 miles to go. 6 hours 38. There's a runway ahead of us. So we're waiting now for the glide slope to start coming down. Do you want to be slower? Let's just keep as we are for a few more moments. Want to arm the speed brake. No, just arm, mate. That's it, don't get too carried away. And then the next one with a landing checklist, which I just need to reset
landing
it
gear down
from the previous flight. So, glide slope's alive. Flap 15. You get that ballooning, if you remember, that we showed you the other day on this. So, good opportunity there to reduce down. Let's call it 180 knots now. I don't know when that runway was open. If you remember, the original Hong Kong just had 2 runways, which would have been that one and that one. Okay, so approach mode, I'm going to reduce the speed. That gives it a bit of a head start there in powering back. And so the winds, as we'd expect. Gear down.
flaps
And it's
set.
going to be a flap 30 landing, so let's bug right down now to 153. So a bit more extra fuel there than we than Simbrief planned for, but we can land with that. There's no issue. So then we're going to go with flap 20. And we've just got to watch the speed now as we put down the remaining flap. And we've got the terrain radar on. You see it's pitched up there quite a bit. Flap 25. We've got the missed approach set. Power's coming back on, isn't it? It's just taking a moment there to come down to 25. And flap 30. With that extra lift, it's kind of settled down. So 6 hours 40, I think that's what we said, wasn't it, when we was doing our computations in the air. Gonna take the throttles. Let's just make sure we've got everything lit up. There we go. So we are clear to land. Got the throttles. Just matching the power now. Autopilot's disconnected, so wind's come in. Slight breeze from the left hand side of the nose. I'm going to expect certainly to just give it a bit of opposite rudder when we land. I'm going to take the throttles up to 60% N1. Let's get us back on the localizer, back lined up.
1,000.
Just watching the glide as well. That's don't want to be any lower than that.
$500.
Just watching that rate of descent. It's a bit of trim down. A little bit of power can come off now.
Minimums.
Maybe a couple of percent.
300. Minimums.
Continue.
200. $100. 15, 14, 13, 20, 10.
Not the best. We just got a bit high there in the last few hundred feet. Reverses. Not as good as the one in Bahrain. That was nice. Okay, reverse is stowed. 6 hours 43. Not sure where the cargo ops are here. Probably not over there. That's just a runway, isn't it? So we'll exit here. Nine right might have been the best choice. 7 right even. Guess. Yeah, it's the south side of the airfield, isn't it? So we'll hang a right here. Start to clean her up. So the effort that we put in to the planning certainly merits doing a little debrief as we taxi in. Here's a chart showing you our actual winds that we encountered en route. I've missed off the first half an hour and the last half an hour so that we can just see the winds that we encountered at our flight level. If we have a look at the blue line, that's the wind direction. You'll see it fluctuated between 300 and 250 degrees, and the orange line is the wind speed. And again, that fluctuated between around 100 and 70. You only need to enter the winds into the FMC where you've got a significant change in speed and or direction. As we saw, that entering the data at the first waypoint was more than enough to give it a good understanding that the prevailing winds were going to be behind us. So going forward, shall we agree to just use the 30-30 rule? So if you've got to change 30 degrees or more, or 30 knots or more, then enter it into the FMC. So this shows 2 lines. The lower line is the fuel that we should have loaded, and the orange line is the fuel that we actually loaded. If you recall, I said that I just wanted to take an extra 5 tons of fuel. You'll note that when if I'd have just gone with the original SimBrief forecast, we would have landed with about 10.5 tons of fuel, and that would have been fine for this flight. Our alternate did require a lot of fuel. In conclusion, the SimBrief profile that I've used, I'm really happy to use that going forward. I'm going to trust that to plan a much longer flight next time. So the final set of figures to show that we've got the planning right. The trip fuel 55,306 against a SimBrief forecast 55,801. Note that we're a few minutes earlier as well, so if we'd have been probably approaching 6 hours 52, I'd say would have been pretty much at 55,801. Anyway, the taxi fuel, that was more than SimBrief thought we'd need, but I've just added that onto the trip fuel, and our total burn today was 55,878. So I hope that you've enjoyed this flight again in the FlightFactor 777 freighter. I've certainly got confidence now in the SimBrief profile that I'm using, so any comments or questions, do let me know, and I'll see you soon on a future video. Do take care, and bye bye.
How can I help you?